Civil rights activists of Equal Namibia maintain that the LGBTQI plus community in the country is often sidelined and continues to face discrimination, further expressing disappointment that the Ministry of Home Affairs is using children to enforce state-sanctioned homophobia.
State-sanctioned homophobia, it is when we as a democracy governed by a constitution continue to pussyfoot around the decrim and repeal of the sodomy law, which continues to criminalize consenting adults, violating their dignity, which links to another component of state-sanctioned homophobia, why we are here today also. It is when the Ministry of Home Affairs targets these very same-sex consenting adults to degrade their status.
It is truly disheartening to see the ministry use children as collateral to their state-sanctioned homophobia. What is state-sanctioned homophobia? State-sanctioned homophobia is when a minister abuses their public office to violate the rights of LGBTQ persons. But now children have become collateral to that. President Geingob said that Namibia, the Namibian house, is all-inclusive, and it is a refuge to all children. So to him I might ask, which children? Whose children? Because inclusivity does not exclude children of LGBTQ persons and parents. The last time people were told and policed and segregated amongst who they love in this country was during apartheid, when the government said that you cannot love one another solely based on the color of your skin. Now, 31 years after independence, we see a government steadfast in the ideology rooted in how apartheid treated dissidents, telling the LGBTQ community that they cannot love one another solely based on their gender identity and sexual orientation.
The couple, Philip Lowell and his Mexican husband Guillermo Delgado, who recently obtained citizenship by descent for their son, were taken aback by the news of the appeal by the Ministry of Home Affairs, adding that the constant harassment inflicted onto them by the ministry dates back to January 2020. The couple, however, remains hopeful that the verdict by Judge Thomas Masuku to grant the couple's son Namibian citizenship will stand in the Supreme Court.
Because we thought not only were we happy, but generally the verdict was positively taken up across society, and as far as we know, there was no sort of formal official backlash from anywhere. So now what of course this means for our family is that this saga continues to drag on. Our son is nearly 3 years old and has been in this sort of limbo situation from the beginning. Our twin daughters are 8 months old, and they're essentially in the same situation, not having access to Namibian citizenship that they have a constitutional right to have. On the other hand, we are, of course, in the larger, the larger scope of things, we are convinced that this judgment will stand in the Supreme Court, because the Supreme Court will never take a narrow reading of the Constitution. The Constitution is like the compass that really tells us where we're going. And if the Supreme Court would take such a narrow reading as Home Affairs takes in its sort of appeal application, it would be really a serious problem.
Mercedes von Klute, who recently won a case of police brutality she underwent in 2017 at the hands of the Namibian police and expecting to receive 50,000 Namibia dollars in payment from government, notes that she has observed a lot of indoctrination that has happened and that there's a lack of love and empathy towards the queer community in Namibia.
And I get to spend so much time in this community, and boy, oh boy, when we talk about discrimination, there's but a few frog apples. And these usually, and one thing I want to say is there's a lot of programming that has been happened, there's a lot of indoctrination that has been taking place, and there's not a lot of love and empathy and care and compassion that has been going around. And that's okay, because we're still recovering from our gruesome and horrible apartheid past. And if we are, and when we are ready to heal together as a community and as a nation, then our issues, LGBT issues, issues pertaining to people with disability, these won't be issues that will be sidelined anymore.